But yeah, I think for me, I just try and move in abundance. I have to ask myself, like in working with creatives and opportunities, I ask myself, like, am I moving out of ego? Am I moving like in just a
Oh
small,
yes.
in it being such a small, just city? It's like, so many people have their tips and things with other people. I'm
Mm-hmm.
always like, working with so many clients. Does this make sense for my client? Even if this might not make sense for me, so try and weigh all those options. But yeah, I'm very anti scarcity. I'm like,
Yeah.
if it's, hands full, so I can't hold grudges. And that's very much how I try and move with it.
Because you're not looking at what can be seen with just the naked eye.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people falter. You looking at what is possible for you and you know your divinity.
Yeah.
And I know it gets a little spiritual sometimes, or all the time. Hell,
Every time.
at all times. Like it's very spiritual. Like
Yeah.
how in the hell could I be limited
Yeah.
to something like if I believe in a God, then why am I thinking that I'm in competition with this one person out of nowhere? Why?
Exactly.
It's not
I'm
them.
like, whatever is for me will be mine, and ain't nobody gonna get in the way.
None.
And it's gonna come at the time and when it's supposed to. And so, yeah, that's why I'm like, I don't try and, so like, even with you, like thinking about it, I don't think, I guess, I didn't think about how spiritual it was, but it is. Because I remember how much, just honestly, life I felt like I had to speak into you in the beginning. It was
Yeah.
like, and not, I don't even mean it to seem that
Yeah,
way,
no,
but I'm
no,
like,
no. Say it.
you had your hopes and your dreams, and I'm like, yeah, but you even doubted it. And I'm like, what are you
Yes.
doing? This is great. Like, I'm not like, and I know we didn't know each other that well, but
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not gonna be the one to tell you this is something that this market needs or wants. And just to tell you this, like,
Yeah.
especially knowing, where you were then, I'm not
Yeah.
going to tell you to put your effort into something that I don't see,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for me, I always look at it in a micro and macro level type situation, and it almost comes to me in like a That's So Raven type moment.
Yeah.
Like when I'm talking to people, if I see the potential in them, it's really like, okay, so these are the stepping stones, but this is the aerial view. This is where I see you. You might be, at A right here, but I already see you at T. But you might not see that. Mm-hmm. And now I have to help you see what are the stepping stones to get from A to T. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I look at it in that macro space, as well as like, macro and micro, that aerial view. But it's cool. Like you have to be able to look at it both ways. Like if I'm in the weeds, it's hard sometimes to see the bigger vision and the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And so I have to separate myself and say, okay, this is in the weeds. This is every day. Mm-hmm. This is brick by brick.
Right.
Now, but what is the North Star? Where is where am I trying to get with this project? Like that doesn't mean the end goal, but where am I trying to see this project through?
Right.
So yeah.
What a wonderful way to introduce that. I will say though, like we were saying, the word is alignment in everything.
Yeah.
I talk about alignment when it comes to relationships, when it comes to your purpose. Like there are people, this is going to be a complete pivot, but there are people that will be like, well, I don't know why I was with that person because y'all were aligned at that time. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I was doing that job because you were aligned with it at that time. Mm-hmm. Perhaps you can look back now and you're not aligned with it now, but at the time you were.
Yeah. And it might not have even been that you were aligned with it, but it was a step along the way. And I'll give you an example. Like when I had my first daughter young, right out of college, and I was working in Dallas. I was trying to intern with the Cowboys, which is funny to me because I hate the Cowboys. But I wanted to be a sports agent.
Yeah.
And so I was up there, and then my partner from Austin moved up there with me, and then, I got pregnant. Mm-hmm. And so at that time, I realized like interning and things like that, I'm now going to be a mother. Mm-hmm. I have to make more money. And so all of my family, both his parents and my parents, were in Austin. Mm-hmm. And so we moved back. But now I'm moving back and I'm 3 months pregnant with no job. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, okay, now I have this college degree, but I've not really gotten any experience out of it. And now I'm 3 months pregnant. And so having some experience with HR, I'm like, they say they don't discriminate against expectant mothers, but we all know the reality.
Okay.
And so I was like, I have to find a job while I'm still not showing. And I have to find a job that has benefits that will pay and allow me to have time off with my child and everything. And so I took this position at, I'm not going to say the name, but it was one of the largest insurance brokerage firms in the world.
Okay.
And my job was, I think, $12.50 an hour, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like now in 2012, like, right? It was $12.50 an hour. And I had to review certificates of insurance, COIs. I didn't know anything about certificates of insurance. Like, what is that? But that is basically like just an insurance document that proves that companies can work together and they have insurance liability if anything happens. So say, for instance, you have an apartment complex, and you want Coca-Cola to come and put vending machines in your apartment complex.
Yeah.
Before they come on site, they have to have proof of insurance that if workers' comp, if anybody comes on premises, that they're covered, for like, say there's a fall when they're transporting like the Cokes or something.
Yeah.
Like, so you would have to present a certificate of insurance. But what they would do is Coca-Cola would say, if we come on here and we drop sodas or something and someone gets hurt, we don't want that obligation.
Right.
So you need to cover us in your insurance, coverage. So then we would have to create the document that would cover the companies to allow them to work together.
Right.
And so I hated that job because I'm very much, I realized then I wasn't as detail oriented as I thought. But in getting in that role, I learned how to read insurance coverage. Didn't think that would ever matter and I only took the job till I could have my baby and leave. And then I started working in arts and culture. But then now at Dreamcon, I now have to review the insurance coverage for any of our after parties, the liabilities and things like that, and can literally see them in 30 seconds and know what's missing. And I'm like, back then I hated the job. I said, this doesn't align with any of my goals. This doesn't align with anything I want to do in the future. Like, this is just a busy work job. And now on the team, I'm the only person that knows how to read even what the agreements are requiring. Because I used to have to look at both agreements of like 50 pages or so to say what they have to cover on this document.
And you retained that from 2012. That's really the impressive part, okay?
But then after that, I immediately went into like events. And so I would have to, but now at Dreamcon, like having so many after parties, like I'm looking at the insurance coverage, looking at the insurance liability, because anything can happen. And if that's not covered, then that's on, a client or something like that. So like you said, like sometimes it's not even about alignment. It's like, I don't know when this is going to make sense or why I'm here. But if you just remember your North Star and follow those steps. It's like it all makes sense. Because now I've had 50 different jobs and every last one of them helped me in one of my roles now.
Yeah. Listen, I'm thinking about what I'm going to name this. All I can think in my mind is divine feminine, divine alignment, honey, because this is a different vibe than any other episode, okay? So I, first of all, just want to introduce us. First of all, this is the Anime and Paint Cocktail Hour, where creatives come together to discuss anime and related topics. And I am honored, you guys, I had a whole list of things that I was going to refer to her as that were just very proper, but I'm gonna go off the dome, okay? Listen, PR professional, programming and partnerships professional for Dreamcon. Brand new Blurred. I would say that you are a converted Blurred, okay? I still think so, even if you don't, and we'll talk about it more.
Okay, we will.
I think you're a little harsh on yourself sometimes, because I've had conversations with her, and she'll be like, I like this, and I was in a gaming family. I was like, what? I didn't know that. But yes, converted Blurred, okay? She is one of our own. Business gangster. She ain't got to talk about it on camera, because I don't want to get my girl caught up, okay? Inspiration in Austin to the Black women starting their businesses, and outside of Austin, I'm sure. Champion for inclusivity in the art space and in the business space in general. I want to welcome Key. Okay, we're just going to do Key today.
I appreciate the introduction. Wow.
Yes.
Thank you. That's
girl,
so
that is
sweet.
who you are.
Thank you.
I
appreciate
am
that.
so excited to have you here and just to continue to, I've had a lot of men on the pod. I think that, I shout out to the men. I really enjoy having the men on here. But the women, baby, like there is so much, there's a
We
different story.
carry.
We do. Okay. What Carisha say? It's T. When you see the two fingers touching with an S and not a C. Let me not. Can
Okay,
we
real
listen?
305 style.
Okay, because if Megan Thee Stallion watched this, I know Carisha watched this too. Okay. So, first and foremost, welcome.
Thank you.
And I dare to say welcome back because we had another episode, but it was beneath us, y'all.
We just had to catch up. That was just a moment. We needed that.
We did. But yes, so first things first, let me look at my notes because I don't want to go too crazy. So, I already told you all that Key is. So, I really wanted to break the ice before we get into all the important business stuff because, again, there is a lot of gems to be dropped. Key has worked in every area that you could possibly think of. She is an art curator. She has done PR for names like RDC. And I think that rests its case. She works for Dreamcon right now. And that gives her a lot of exposure to a lot of different people and a lot of different areas of business. But most importantly, to nerd culture, blurred culture at that. So I just wanted to start off, just with a little fun icebreaker. So with everyone else, I typically, hop into the anime thing. But being a blurred is more than being an anime fan. So I wanted to ask Key, what would you consider to be your blurred identity? What do you nerd out on?
Okay, so I nerd out on like culture, and I feel like that's weird to say, but like I love like hip hop culture. I love like film. I nerd out on blurred out on music for sure. And yeah, I think I like to see like for me the blurtiness is the intersection of all those things. It's talking about it from my background with marketing and sociology and understanding the themes and things like that. I think that's where my blurredom lies for sure. I did grow up in a gaming family.
Okay.
Like it's funny, I just bought my man a gaming chair a couple days ago. I still hadn't gotten him anything for Valentine's Day. And so I was like, let me, I'm gonna have to do my big one on this very late gift. Right. So yeah, I got him a gaming chair, which is also why I like usually opt out of the conversations with my homegirls when they talking about, he plays the game all the time. And I'm like, I actually gifted my man the PS5 and I love to watch him play.
But that's the sign, baby. Okay, listen, Key is always like, I don't know if I really that's the sign. Because that's what separates us is that you're like, yes, I support this.
Oh, absolutely. Like I joked with him. He's in construction by day. And I said, yeah, I bought you a Louis Vuitton belt. And he was like, I said, I'm waiting on it. He said, why would you buy me that? I was like, oh, I think you're going to like it. And so I was so excited, like, to run out, and they put it next door. Yeah. And so I'm waiting. I was like, where is your belt? Like, still, he was like, and I could tell he was trying to act like he cared. Yeah. Because he thought it was a belt that he didn't care about. Yeah. But when I came in with the package, I was like, yeah, like, we're a gaming family. Like, grew up gaming with my brother and my dad. Like, loved it. So, yeah, I think that's where my blurredom lies. And I'm a huge Harry Potter Lord of the Rings fan. Like very much Disney. Girl, yeah. Like we're going to Disney in June and I'm so excited. Like I'm more excited than my kids. Like more excited.
What games did you play with your family?
I played Zelda. We played Killer Instinct. We played Spyro. Like I was a Spyro fanatic.
Which Zelda? Ocarina of Time? Yes. Oh yes, honey. Because we around the same age. So yes, we were very much living the same.
Exactly. Yes. Mario, all the Marios. Like I had every console growing up. And it's funny because people don't know. Like we had every console. It was family competitions for us. Like it was, especially like the Mario Kart racing. Oh no, those were tournaments in the house. Okay. It was a big deal. So
one of us. One of us. Yes. Girl, please, you are one of us.
Yeah, I try and keep it under wraps. But yeah.
Girl, please. I'm gonna see my girl Key cosplaying at not BlurredCon shit,
Oh,
at Dreamcon.
absolutely a Dreamcon. Girl, like I really think now the first day I gotta come as number 5. Because now that we have Creed, like now that we've announced Creed, I'm like number 5 was literally like, even when I was too old to like number 5, number 5 been that girl. Like she's always given me like very country accent, very much gonna say what needs to be said. You know, come through what needs to happen. Like number 5 is very much Key coded.
Yes. I not only will I be hoping, I will be expecting to see it.
Yes, you will see number 5.
Amen. Amen. I love to see it. No, honestly, like with all of these announcements, I mean, we could take it back to Megan last year, Issa this year, Creed this year, right? Leon Thomas last year. All these big names. How does it feel to know that you're playing a part in like almost being like the middleman of these mainstream Black Hollywood, Black industry people, but you're bringing them into this blurred space? How does that?
Well, I want to be honest because I know I do a lot of things, but I'm definitely not going to take any credit from the team. Like we have a whole talent team that manages that, and the talent team been doing their big ones. I think for me, in partnerships, sometimes I will help in, you know, assisting or supporting some talent coming through. But yeah, like I think like I don't even look at that. Like the announcements are the aftermath of it, in a sense, because the biggest gift for me at Dreamcon thus far has been to work with the other Black and brown creatives that I've gotten to work with and learn from. Like that has been the biggest gift for us to then go on and work on other projects together and do things like that. Like to see what the culture is pushing out in creatives is amazing. Like, you know, to know we work, like some of the people at our team, like none of us work full time. We only have 2 full time on our team, and the rest, we all have our own like creative positions and day jobs. And so I think that also really just makes it cool as well. Like we've had people who worked for Netflix, for Snapchat, for Tiny Desk, for Gracie's Corner and editing. Like we've had so many, like they're the people, we dream it up together. So I'm like, it is by no means me doing it behind the scenes. For sure, it's a collective effort. But yeah, I do my role, I play my part, and I appreciate that the team trusts me to do what I do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For a lot of you that don't know, again, I'm a budding, you know, business owner, but Key is very, very important to me. She helped me basically put together the concept and really helped to build connections and build a bridge between me being, you know, just someone that had a dream to being someone who's actually seeing their dream come true. So I'm really excited to have her here today. I just wanted to make sure that people knew, like, these businesses and these things that you see come together, a lot of times there's a team behind it, or there's people behind you that believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. So a lot of today, I just wanted to speak to that person who has a dream and is like, oh, okay, well, I don't know. I don't think it's possible. Like, there are so many things that happen out of happenstance or happen out of nowhere, and you just don't know if it's your turn. But Key to me is someone that, like, I always see you championing, like, every small business that I know of in this city. Key know them. Key's helped some of them. Like, Key is behind the scenes.
Yeah.
How do you, first of all, how do you keep yourself grounded in being so exposed to so many different businesses as somebody that is just all over the place?
I don't keep myself grounded, which is why I was 30 minutes late here handling a business situation. It is hard. Like, it is hard. It's hard not to crash out every day. Like, I probably have, I don't know, I'm probably having maybe 20 to 30 conversations. Like, I'm dealing with 20 to 30 businesses on a week, like from Austin to all over. And so it is hard, from small business to like Fortune 500.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It is so hard. But I think for me, I just try and, I stay in therapy. I'm in therapy weekly.
Yeah.
Well, as of like 2 weeks ago, my therapist retired, and I'm really trying to work through that. But yeah, I think that's how I try and just stay grounded. Like I'm going to speak my mind, and I think you know that I'm very much going to speak my mind. I try and remain authentic. So when I have those moments, I own those moments. I think that's more of what it is. Of when I feel those feelings, I feel those feelings. Mm-hmm. When I need to tell those business people or owners or whatever, I tell them, and then I kind of do this. And sometimes, I mean, you've seen me in videos where I'm speaking to the city about, like, as an arts commissioner, and my voice is literally quivering because I know I'm creating tension for myself. I know I'm probably creating some unspoken beef that I don't even know about in being authentic and speaking the truth, you know? So it's very hard, but I think my North Star is always that if you know better, you do better. And I learned too much from working with businesses to allow my people to just not know better. And so I will take it upon myself sometimes to teach you better. And I don't mean it in that way. I will always assume that maybe you don't know. And so I'm like, maybe they're treating or they're handling their customers like this, or maybe their PR statement was this way because they didn't know. Maybe they didn't make a PR statement because they thought it would blow over and the issue was way smaller, you know, than they thought, you know, or way larger than they initially thought it was. And so, yeah, I try and move with authenticity. I try and move with honesty. I still believe in handling people with care, even in being authentic. Just telling people the truth don't mean you just do it with no tact, you know, or anything like that. But yeah, it is definitely difficult. But I'm proud of you. Like, and I will say that as many times as I can because I felt like we had some very difficult conversations in the begining. Not just about business. I consider you a friend now. And I feel like in that transition of that, you know, and I think I was a little nervous and hesitant. And I told you because oftentimes people, I feel like, will put me on a pedestal. And I'm like, girl, no. You know what I do to cope, to get through the day, how I start my morning session, all of those things. So I'm like, you know, I think for me, I almost got a little nervous and standoffish because people will put me on this pedestal like I am not flawed, like I don't know what I don't know, like I don't. And I think that initially kind of gave me, you know, made me have a little distance with you. But I think then you basically just straight up told me, you was like, you need friends. You need community. You need people who care about you. Like you care about other people. And that really, you know, sat with me. And that really, I think, made me kind of focus on intentionally building relationships that were outside of business, that were real, you know, friendships. And so, and that was after, you know, I had some, you Severs. Know, and so I think like, now I think there was a time when maybe you looked at me in this way of like, oh, Key, you know, she knows all these things or all these things. But I think now I look at us as equals. I feel like I learned from you and how you have transitioned your business, how you pivoted. Girl, we went from us having to meet every week, every month. Yeah. Well, no, we were probably meeting every week.
No, I think it was like every 2 weeks.
Okay, And then like from your launch, but I'm like, it's so just fun to look back on it now because we were struggling. Like, you know, like it just, I'm like, and I always feel like I'm in it, even with whoever it is. But yeah, I just remember you coming to me and you were like, hey, all these people said I should meet you and should get to know you. And I'm like, okay.
You the girl, baby. You the girl.
I'm like, who told you? And that always determines on whether or not I'm going. And I think you mentioned Jahari. And Jahari, I had curated a show for him in Houston. And I'm like, because I always want to know if this person, I feel like how well this person knows me who recommended me. Because people would love to say, oh, y'all will work well together. And then now we on this phone falling out. And I'm like, why you tell me we was going to work? You know, but when Jahari told me that and we spoke, I was like, oh, she real blurty. I don't know. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready. Yeah. You know, and then I remember you had your baby and you were just like, I went to Dreamcon and I know I'm going to have an event there next year. Like, that is my goal. And I remember you told me that and I was like, okay, well, we'll do it. And he's like, really? I was like, yeah, we'll do it. I said, but you need an event or a couple before Dreamcon. So let's plan this. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, you know, we had a couple more sessions. I think we met, you know, up until your first event. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I didn't hear from you. Mm-hmm. And not like that, but I'm like, I'm seeing your events pop up. And I'm like, you just went and you rolled each momentum, each moment into the next, bigger and better into the next. And then you told me, I was like, hey, apply for Dreamcon. Like, I didn't, you know, I was just like, I hope it goes well. But, you know, and then to see you apply and then get in, I was like, I knew it. Like, this is where I saw it. You know, we just had to get those stepping stones. So yeah, I'm so proud of you.
Girl, I almost started crying before you brought me up. Because, like, let me just say this. This is going to be the most honest episode, probably. I grew up in a cult. And I left the cult when I was in my early 30s. I am 37. Yo, I'm going to be 38 this year. And I actually had a conversation with another member of the cult that left, and we helped each other kind of cope with life outside of that environment. And we just sat on the phone together for like hours a couple of days ago, on Wednesday actually, and was just like, it's crazy how because we hadn't talked in a year, so we were just catching up, and it was like, look at like, girl, you doing your thing, and I'm like, girl, you doing your thing, and it's just like we were able to do it, like we made it. And I will always credit different people in my life, but I will always credit Key, not just for what she directly did for me in my business, because the stuff that she talks about with my business is the least of what I think about when I think about
Really?
your impact. It's about the times where Key is, her voice is quivering during a meeting with the art commission, and she's still saying what she has to damn say. or when she's like, I got into this opportunity, and I'm like, knowing, mind you, not to insult you, but knowing that you gonna speak your mind and you're not gonna do the thing that I've always hated. Like my entire career in like corporate, I have hated how inauthentic people have had to be in order to make it. I hate how people become, even like, let's take it outside of corporate, just watching people choose who they marry, like just the bullshit of how people live their lives, completely disconnected from their decisions. Like just, oh, I just need to do this because it looks good, or it feels good, or it seems good, or the people think it look good. And it's like, I always was so disconnected from that in my life. And like when I met this truly authentic person that's going to say the thing that, you know, maybe you don't like in the moment, or it's going to speak from her heart, or it's going to be constantly like actively learning, like even if she feels this at the moment, she's still going to go back and ask questions or do this or do that. And she's going to say the thing you don't like on camera. Maybe not on camera. I ain't never seen. Maybe, yeah, you did on camera. Hell, yes. And to business owners, to people that can take her bag, or maybe make, like, still being true to yourself. Like, regardless. I'm like, that's the piece of me that has been missing in so many situations. And I'm like, that's if you felt like I put you on a pedestal at some point, like this is an episode of Sisterhood. Like, it's because I was like, she can get away with this?
Girl, I swear, I will say something and then I'll be like really will like brace for the blow. And then be like, why y'all just let me say that? Like, I mean, I know it was the truth, but y'all just gonna let me say that? Like, where's the blowback coming? But absolutely, like, yeah. I'm just like, I'm gonna say it because I just realized it's too many of us in the room, or sometimes it's not enough of us in the room, and I really feel like it's not enough of us at the table. Yeah. And in working in political strategy, like I've worked in like, you know, just PR in so many different ways, but working in political strategy and seeing policy, I like led some really well-known, like, you know, grassroots picketing, organizing. And then I switched and pivoted in my day job into like policy, communications and things like that. Because I realized when you're outside, like protesting, the decision's already been made. And I'm like, that's like putting toothpaste back into the tube. Once it's out, you don't get. So I realized like it needed to be people at the table to prevent a lot of those decisions from being made. Because once they're made, it's so much harder to undo them. Right. And so I'm like, it will really like, it pains me at times to hold my tongue. And so I'm like, let me just say it because it might be the stupidest statement. But it might spark someone else to think about it from a different perspective. And so I had this mentor that I worked with, and he always had this saying, "May the best idea win." And so he's like, I don't care if we're in a boardroom and we're talking about $5 million or $5 billion in budget, and a 5-year-old walks by the room and points out something that we hadn't thought about, right? And that's the better idea. may the best idea win. And I think that is how I kind of always looked at things. I think a lot of times when people are brainstorming and ideating, they're going to go with what's the norm or what's already, and for me, anytime I'm strategizing, I'm going to create a plan and then I'm going to poke holes in it. Mm-hmm. Like, I want it to be the strongest plan, or, so ask me what I don't know. Question me about it. And I think that is odd to some people, but I also grew up with parents that allowed me to question them. Like, I could say, why? Like, my mom never, like, looking back, which is crazy. I've already said it. I can say as a mom, I've said it, but my mom never told me because I said so. Or I told you, like, my mom would all like, or just because I said or do what I say. Mm-hmm. Anytime my mom had us doing something new or whatever, she would explain to us why we were doing it, the method in which we would be doing it, or why this was the process. And then if I said, well, why? Like, she would give me more, explanation. Mm-hmm. And then if well, what about this? But right now, we don't have the time to be able to talk about why that might not be the best decision. Right. But we can talk about that plan later. And so I always had to, I had that opportunity with my parents. Yeah. But then also at like 12, my dad stopped, like, really, my parents stopped they allowed me to really kind of self-correct. So at 12, my dad went from being in like the military, all of that, like transitioning out, and we moved to Austin, to like, you're 12 in the Bible, you're considered an adult. So these are the decisions of your life. Mm-hmm. And we're just here to guide you. And so for the most part, at like 12, my parents, I didn't have like a curfew like other kids. Like, I just could do what I wanted to do at times, but I self-corrected in a lot of ways. And so looking back on it, it's just interesting because I always had to have a plan. If I wanted to do something, my mom was like, okay, well, what's your plan? Right. And then I gave her my plan. Okay, and what if that doesn't work? What's your next plan? All right, bet. So they would support me in whatever I wanted to do. Like, and then when I get overwhelmed and I'm over capacity, my mom you might need to manage your time better. Let's see what the actual problem is. Like, and so as a kid, I always had a plan. That was
your language.
Yeah, your language and my mom, like, I could never, when we got in trouble, we could never say I don't know. Mm-hmm. Because like at 12, my dad was like, this is a military man, Capricorn. All they understand is work. Yeah. Well, was there a gun to your head? No. Well, then why'd you do that? Well, I don't know. Well, was there a gun to your head? No.
A Capricorn raising a Pisces is crazy.
Which is why I think I get my business acumen and my work ethic, because a Pisces is so very flighty. Like, if I could be, I'm probably the laziest person I know. But on that work ethic, like with my dad, like very much I saw a man that if you don't work, you don't eat. And my dad he's like, you're one of the smartest women I know. So you're going to be smart in a lot of situations you in. So you're going to have to always have a plan. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I couldn't say I don't know. And my mom would say, if anything, if there was no gun to your head, your answer is because I wanted to. And you have to be willing to deal with whatever the consequences are of you wanting to do whatever it is that you wanted to do. Right. And so that's kind of how I always went into things. Like, I might not have had it right, but I had a plan and an explanation for why I was doing it that way. Mm-hmm. Like, always did, and could tell you even as a kid. And so, yeah, I think that was really kind of what maybe changed that.
We've discussed on the phone a few times about how creativity is not just, coming up with an idea and making like a, mm-hmm. some sort of media outlet, something about it, a video, whatever. Yeah. But that there is a great deal of creativity that goes into business. So I want you to tell me about a time, whether mm-hmm. it was a business, an idea within mm-hmm. business, where there was nothing and your creativity created an actual profitable or just any kind of result.
Gotcha. Okay. So I guess maybe one of the most recent highlights I can use is With My Soul. Okay. And so I'll say with My Soul, they're a family-owned restaurant based in Austin. They're from Chicago, and they moved on our northwest side that is predominantly in, the white area of mm-hmm. Austin. Mm-hmm. And so when I met them, they had just only been open for a couple of months, but their food was amazing. And I realized that a lot of times small businesses, particularly Black businesses, don't always understand marketing budgets. and ad buys, and honestly, businesses, period. Like having a marketing degree, it's marketing is usually one of the smaller budgets. And then when things get heated, it's one of the budgets that get cut, sooner rather than later. And it's that marketing and advertising is what tells the story of your product or service. So when I realized that With My Soul only had maybe 20 followers on Instagram, they had maybe like less than, 30 followers on Facebook, I asked them if I could run their social media and PR for a year at no charge. Mm-hmm. And I knew that I wanted to do that because I still felt like a lot of companies and small businesses didn't see the vision or the value. Mm-hmm. And I knew I needed a year because you got nothing. Like nobody knows who you are. I have to build a strategy, one, for visibility and awareness. And then we need to roll into momentum of things. And so from that, but also they didn't want to spend any money.
Yeah.
And so, and I get it. They were still starting that, they didn't have the money just yet to spend. They had just invested in a build out. So it's like, so I apologize. I misspoke. It wasn't that they didn't want to spend any money. They didn't really have that cash flow right then after doing a build out and moving their family from Chicago. Yeah. So, I asked them if I could, run the strategy and PR for a full year. And that's when I created what I created called the Creator Package. And that was, I knew if we didn't have any money to pay creators to come and review the food, then how could we get them in? And then I also knew we set the precedence of if we're paying creators, then everyone's going to expect to be paid. Right. And then also if we're paying you, then chances are that could influence the decision of the review. Mm-hmm. And if we're still starting out, we need to know where the kinks are. We need to know where we can improve. Like, we don't want y'all to just drag us, but also, let us know where we can improve some of those things. And so, I ran their social media for a full year, did PR for them for a year. And then after that next year, they were like, like, where we sign, let's do it. And so since then, I've helped them just like in operational support. Today, now it's been 4 years. They've only spent $4,000 period on marketing ever. Yeah. And none of that was with creators, but with, I can go over the accolades, but this year they did get top 100 restaurants in the country from Yelp. Yeah. They also got best chicken and best restaurant from West Texas, I think it was West Austin Chamber. They were in Culture Map as well. They got a proclamation from the city of Austin recognizing all the work they've done in the community for like when the floods happened and donating to just like pregnant moms, expecting moms. Mm-hmm. We've done a lot of work just like with SAFE and donating to shelters and just different organizations. And so I didn't even know that the city had been, paying attention to that. But so they gave them a proclamation. So now February 5th is now With My Soul Day in Austin. And so I would say that was a way. So I don't know if it's necessarily like I ain't coming in and being a magician and, making a business totally profitable, but I am building strategy that helps build momentum and awareness, to build consistency, to build out sustainability, to teach people, to continue that, to even teach them, some of those tactics and strategies and things like that. So, I would say that's probably one of my most proud ones for sure.
Absolutely. Can I speak to, so let me go back to my day job. So because at being someone that manages people, like, for my 9 to 5, you pull everything you can out of yourself to make sure that they are inspired in some way, shape, or form. It's not always the same thing. So my degree is in psychology. One of the first things, that I learned about Key is that her degree was in marketing, but she mixed it with sociology so she could better utilize her knowledge of how people react in, public or in society to better market. So I have a young lady on my team. I ain't gonna say her name, but if she listens to this, shout out to you, who's in school right now for marketing. And she said that she would do BA. She would do business administration as her other degree. And I remember being like, because mind you, we're a sales team. So I was like, I have a friend named Key, and she did marketing because she also went on to talk about, just some of the things that she wants to do in the community. She wants to help small businesses. She wants to help, people that don't have a voice, people of color, to get their strategy help.
She sounds like a little me.
And she's in her early 20s, and she has so much in her. And it's the people like that you like. You're like, hey, let me just put my work hat away real quick, and let me just really talk to you, because if nothing else, I have a friend that decided that she wanted to do sociology as her minor, as her, I'm not sure, I don't remember if it was minor. Yeah, as her minor, she'll better understand people in society. And when I told her that, she was like, oh my God, I never thought about that. But I was like, yeah, but think about it, especially if your goal is to service, small businesses and to get eyes on them and to help them, build their strategies and to help them succeed. You're trying to get into the trenches of these spaces. It's probably really important for you to understand how society views them and how they can overcome that, right? And it's like, she was like, I've never heard that before. Oh my God. And it's just like the little things that we do as women, the little things.
To pour into the next woman.
And you don't know what parts of them need that support. You don't know what you're building.
You don't know what you're nurturing, that they'll never forget. Because I'm like, anytime I'm like, girl, I didn't even remember that.
Yes.
But yeah, even with that, I changed my major. I wanted to be a sports agent. And so I was going to be pre-law, but I'm at Baylor. And so I'm like, I can't, undergrad is already expensive. And at that time, in 2012, I think it was $90,000 a year for law school. And so I was like, there's no way I'm coming out of college with debt and then going into law school with debt. And so I just happened to be, I would watch TV a lot, football, Monday Night Football, big football fan, and was watching it with my friends and couldn't figure out what I wanted. I knew I was going to switch from pre-law to business, but I didn't know what I wanted my minor to be. And then it was that that commercial, that McDonald's commercial that had the dude, he was dancing in the rain.
Yeah.
What was it? I saw you creeping. I hated it. And it was like, he was like, what did he say? You got a 10, please.
Don't be stingy.
I hated it. And that was when I changed my major. I said,
did you also hate, what's a new chicken wrap? Did you hate that too?
I did. Because I'm like, it is too, we've come too far for y'all to still have a shucking and jiving for chicken
ass mentality.
And it pissed me off. And then Mary came out with Burger King.
Chicken.
But that one did kind of jam. But at the same time, y'all still had us dancing for chicken.
Yeah.
And I said, they don't understand my culture. And to me, even all of my friends liked the commercial. I hated it. I said, they don't understand my culture. And then I thought about it. I'm like, if they don't understand my culture, how do I want to do marketing? And I might have to work with the Latino company. I might have to work with, all of these things. If they don't understand my culture, who do I think I am to come in and represent and work with other cultures? And so when I started studying sociology, you also had social stats. So the same way you had to take marketing statistics, you had to take sociology statistics to learn how to run, different, so it was so cool because I didn't realize how similar they were, but also with sociology and psychology. I love psychology. I feel like I'm continuously working on myself, but I felt like psychology was more of the inner work. And then I had a friend joke and say, no offense, but all psych majors are crazy and they just study psychology to figure themselves out. And then I'm like, with sociology, I realized the difference was you're understanding how you are positioned in communities, your community at work, your community, and so even taking it back to With My Soul did well. Cause like I said, we didn't pay anybody, but if I learned anything from RDC and Dreamcon, it was community. When you bring your community in, and they really engage, they will support you. They become your ambassadors. They become your micro influencers. They become your macro influencers. You treat your customer base right, and your community, and they feel a part of the wins with you. You celebrate their wins with them too, and y'all are locked in. And so that was kind of how I leveraged that, and how I even, like I said, even Dreamcon, where I see where that really kind of supported With My Soul as well.
How did you get into relationship with RDC? Speaking to that.
RDC is funny. So I was doing PR for Hella Yella, DJ Hella Yella. And then I also had a friend who was a chef at the time. And he was working in corporate chefing. And he would also do all of my art exhibits for the low. Like, it didn't matter. I always gave him the same little budget. And I knew that was all I got. He knew it was all I had. But whenever I had other opportunities, I would always throw them his way, give him the first right of refusal. And so when people tell me things, I just try and keep it in mind. And so he and I had been talking about him transitioning into a private chef. And he's like, I want to be a private chef. Like, I think that's my next step. Like, I'm really tired of corporate chefing, executive chefing. I think this is what I want to do. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, DJ Hella Yella gets booked for an RDC event here in Austin. And so it's like, oh, okay, cool, book them or whatever. But then Hella Yella had hit me up the night of the event and said, hey, you know where they could get some food from? They're hungry or whatever. And at this time, my friend, the chef, had been like doing plates out of his house and stuff like that. And so he went and took them some plates and they connected. And then like later on, he started, kind of connecting with them. And then that's when they asked him if he wanted to be their private chef. And I helped him a little bit on the negotiation side of it. And so in helping him with that, he was like, he said, I hope you know my plan is eventually to let them meet you. He's like, but I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to see, what it looks like. And so he started working with them, I think, for about maybe 7 or 8 months. And they reached out.
That's crazy that I'm sorry, that's shout out to the chef, you know what I'm saying? But it's just like,
yeah,
they were like, we really need this. Like, we need this every day. Come on, chef.
But yeah, so then after that, they reached out for a deal they were doing. I think Mark was doing a deal with AT&T, and which is interesting because I found the guy, like randomly met with him at South by, the guy who was on the other side of that deal, but who worked for AT&T at the time. But yeah, they were doing some community outreach, and RDC had gotten $5,000 that they could give to any organization. And they were based in Austin at the time. And so Chef Martin called me and he was like, hey, do you know anybody that any organization? I know you come from the nonprofit world. So I gave him probably like a list of 4 or 5 organizations, starting with E for Youth, which is an organization that focuses on like kids and creatives, and just really teaching them a lot of branding, creative strategy, and the creative side of business and getting their reps in. And so I was like, this makes sense for, Dreamcon or for RDC to support them. And so connected them with that, and they loved, the organization and thanked me for that. And then maybe a couple of weeks later, they asked for another thing. And, Chef Martin connected me. Then maybe a month or so later, they asked for another thing. And so then he basically said, he's like, I think you should meet with them and just see. So I put together a full proposal of what I could do. And I met with Ben and Ippy. Those were it was the first meeting with them. And it was just so much fun, like meeting with them. It was such good energy. Like I knew their content and everything, but I wasn't a super huge fan like that. I just wasn't engaged like that, but their content was funny.
Yeah.
And so in talking to Ben and Ippy, I presented everything to them and they was like, this is good. And then I presented the price and they was like, let us get back to you. And so they got back to me like the next day with my price cut in half.
Okay.
And I was like, do I want to do this? But it's still like the price cut in half wasn't bad. I'm glad. Shout out to me for starting a little bit higher than
a bit higher.
Because when they cut it in half, I still was like, okay, please send me the agreement. And so after that, we worked together for about, I think around a year and a half or so. And then they basically told me, I thought they were firing me, but they were just like, they were moving a lot of their things to be more LA based because like when we first started working, that was around like COVID and coming out of that. And so they got to be home, and so, but in like LA, yeah. So now things are picking back up, things are opening back up. They were going to be there. So it didn't necessarily make sense to have a publicist based in Austin when all of the work you're doing is in LA. And so they were like, yeah, Key, we're going to have to end the contract. But like, they were so nice. Like they were even nice about that. Ben was like, oh, I'm going to pay you 3 months out. I was like, what? I have never been fired. And then like,
Yeah.
and it wasn't fired, but he was like, no, you're still our guy. So I hope you don't think that we get rid of you.
Yeah.
We just don't necessarily need you as much on the RDC side, but we need you on Dreamcon side. And then that's when I got transitioned to Dreamcon and when I first got to meet the team. And so before then, I was working like on the RDC side. We really didn't have any interfacing. And so like I would say my biggest event that I got to do with RDC was the 2023 South by like unofficial event that they did at Superstition that had Leon Thomas and Tia Corinne and all of that on my birthday. I remember telling them, like, when I signed the agreement, I said, I was like, I told myself I'm no longer working on my birthday because I always, being my birthday March 9th, it's always South by Southwest. And so every year since college, I've worked around my birthday or had an event. And so I said, I'm not going to do that this year. But as soon as I signed the agreement, they said, okay. So our first event is March 9th. I said, oh, okay, I'm ready. Like, and in my mind, I'm like, no. But yeah, that was totally a very good and fun birthday for sure.
Yeah. So now that you have transitioned to the Dreamcon world and you already have your gaming family background, I mean, how has this changed you, I guess, in regards to how you view creativity?
It definitely makes me feel old. Like, I feel so old now. Like, in working with the Dreamcon team, like, they're young.
Yeah.
I am probably, I think, like, the second or third oldest on the team. But yeah, I'm like, I think it's still invigorating. Like, they keep me young because they're all like 30s, 20s and stuff like that. And I mean, I'm in my 30s.
I'm about to say,
but yeah, like they're early 30s.
We quick to claim 40, don't we?
Like at this point, I'm embracing it. But yeah, very early 30s and 20s. And they just have so much energy and they just have so much hope and faith. And I'm like, even at times when I'm not feeling it, like I'm in it because they're in it. And so, yeah, like that has been really fun. But now, yeah, I'm trying to figure out maybe where my next moves are because I definitely have been feeling like Grandmother Willow. But but yeah, it's been very fun. Like it's definitely way more fast paced than on the RDC side.
Yeah.
And that just might be because, of course, like Dreamcon is a big beast where, yeah. But yeah, I've really enjoyed being on the Dreamcon side. I enjoy working with the partnerships team. Shout out to the best team and department of Dreamcon. Just kidding. But yeah.
No.
No, I mean, we really have amazing teams.
Yeah, I believe so. No kid. But yeah, no, I honestly, so one of the other things that's interesting is that I met Key. It was all just fate, I feel. I went to Dreamcon 2023, pregnant as a house. With Jiraiya, who's now 2 years old. And I don't know how I made it. First of all, it was like 105 degrees and I was wearing a full Makima cosplay, which consisted of like basically a tuxedo with a long white button-down shirt. I don't know how I didn't lose the baby because I was about to pass out. I'm so glad I didn't, by the grace of God. He's just as crazy and alive today. But it was hot and I was just like, this was too much for me. But the energy of Dreamcon is what had me walking. Because it's a lot of walking. It was in Austin at the time. And I was like, I don't know how I'm making it. I'm sweating. Like, I am literally, like, dehydrated, I think. But we're here, and I'm still, like, invigorated. This is so much fun. Like, come day 2, I'm dancing at some, like, what was it? What was the thing that Cleo hosts? The Bay Brigade.
Okay. Because I was like, was that the Disney karaoke too? Because that one, that is probably one of my favorite programs.
Girl, I've never seen you at it.
I definitely sometimes I find a way to find some time to be in the background because Disney karaoke, like Disney really needs to sponsor our karaoke because the way our Black karaoke goes off with Disney, like I didn't know. Like that was really where my blerdom really started to come out because all this time I'm like, I'm this really old Disney fan.
Yeah.
And then you get to the Disney karaoke and you're like, it's all of us. Like we're all here. All of us.
Now, I'm going to implore us to take a shot real quick because I want to go into some. I do this every episode. It's because you spoke about sponsorships. Okay. Yes. All right. I didn't know what was going on. All right. Cheers to that. We're going to continue with the conversation of karaoke and Disney. I'm going to turn over here. Now, this one's for Megan Thee Stallion. I just had a shot of Don Julio, but I would like to have a shot of Chicas Divertidas. I need to go on ahead and get some, okay? I'm going to get some. But I would prefer to have you on the show so we can discuss it and so we can have some and so that we could just continue to talk about your journey as a blurred in the industry.
I love how you pronounced it.
Like,
come on, Spanish accent.
I had to let Panama come through, the spirit of Panama.
I was like, come on,
Panama, yes. So, yes, and you know, Meg is my main squeeze right now because I know that this is a space for her. A black blurred, let's do this. Now, for the rest of y'all, this is all sponsored by me, okay? And I would love to just be able to showcase something that you've created, whether it's a product, whether it's, I don't know.
A t-shirt.
I'll put a t, you know I need it. Look at the breasts out. I need an old nasty t-shirt to cover up. Okay, a hat, anything. I got a big head, but I'll make it work. An idea, your presence. I'm always happy to talk to different people. Your presence alone is a sponsorship for me because I love to speak to creatives, especially in the blurred space. Anyway, back to the show. Baby, I'm going to find a spot to do my little sponsorship talk, okay? So the Disney thing, I believe it's like Disney, what is it called? I don't want to make it real general. It's the Disney. It's not a sing along, but it's like a choir. It's the Disney choir. Mm-hmm. That's the dude that leads it. That's what he calls it, the Disney choir. That is my favorite thing at Dreamcon, and I'm pretty sure that is what like gave me that extra boost of life on the second day that first year I was pregnant.
Yeah, you know, when speaking of talent, I will say the team knows my heel since I have been at Dreamcon is I want Kirk Franklin there.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
It's funny because the team be like, why? But I have to realize that most of the team isn't from Texas.
Yeah.
And I'm like, y'all don't understand. We play Melodies from Heaven in the club. And like in the last hour of the club, we will play that.
Right.
And then transition into, you know, club rock Young Nation if we need to. But so I'm like Kirk Franklin is amazing, but I honestly only got the idea because I think it was 2023 where we have like all of our headsets and stuff where we're staying in touch to make sure there's nothing going on, you know, no fights, no breakouts, like anything, you know, that we might need to communicate with the staff. So we hear that there's some commotion on the floor and there's a really big group. And so we wanted to send people there as soon as possible, our staff, to make sure there were no issues. Girl, we all come running from all angles to make sure, like, if there's any fight, we need security, all of it. Girl, they playing Stomp.
Yeah.
They playing Kirk Franklin, and it's like 400 people in the hallway. And I'm like, I didn't even realize, like, and I'm like, they're so much younger. You know, like, it's multi-generational. But I'm like, for even the young kids to know Kirk Franklin, I'm like, for Kirk Franklin to open up an intro 1 year, just like our opening ceremony, just open up with Melodies and, you know, Stomp or Do We Need a Revolution? Just to really just set the tone for Dreamcon. Yeah, so that's my heel. Everybody laughs at me every year. Every year I bring it up, and I will continue.
Now, I know it ain't Kirk Franklin, but have people not heard that never would have made it?
You feel me? I'm like, we have a whole moment for this. Like,
right.
Exactly.
Like, that would definitely, that'd be lit.
You feel me?
That would be so lit. Because if all of us have one thing in common, we all had to be at somebody's church house at some point in our life.
Exactly. And so shout out to Carrington, my old roommate from college, Kirk Franklin's daughter. I reached out to her and I told her she always be down to connect me with her dad's team every time. But I'm like, I got to wait until our team is serious enough to understand it. So I might have to get with Hella Yella and just have him prove how we feel about, you know.
This is what I don't expect from my girl, but she a Pisces. This is where the Pisces come in. Because y'all just so flow. Y'all go with the flow. A Leo like me would have been like, everybody sit down in the room right now. Everybody sit down in the room. As a matter of fact, let's go to Sunday Fun Day. I want you to see How it goes down.
No, girl, because I'm so used to repeating myself. I don't ever force an idea now.
Girl.
Like,
Hey!
I will speak about it once or twice, and then after I say my piece, I'm going to say that this is me saying my piece, so you can never say I didn't say my piece, because I tell everyone, I don't be wrong, I just be early. So if I said this, I want the record to say and show that I said this, because I'm telling you, this is only going to come up later.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I believe it.
Mhm.
I don't believe it with most people, but I believe it here. Because honestly, like you've told me at times that people didn't always believe in certain things that you've brought to the table. Like 2024 is whenever you kind of brought up the idea of me and two other women. Shout out to Miss Duchess. Not so much shout out to the other one. But you ain't got to be a part of that. That's just on me. I do it every time I can. Not so much shout out to the other one. But you brought up an idea that people weren't always sure was going to work. And it's like, it works.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah, I'm like, even with that, that's funny to me because I didn't know how that was going to work. I didn't know how it was going to work, you know, but I was just like, we're going to make it work. I knew that all of y'all were in the initial and emerging stages of your business. So, you know, love y'all down, but y'all really only had so much y'all could say. Because I had decided that at that point it was going to work.
Right.
To the point where, you know, I even, once deals or words weren't kept, I paid out of my own money. I paid you and I paid Duchess out of my own money, what was honored and what we had communicated. So absolutely, like, things don't always go as planned. I have to take it on the chin oftentimes. Oftentimes, with me being an authentic person, I'm usually the one having to follow my sword. I'm usually the one taking the brunt of whatever problems, you know, happened. It was my fault. And usually getting very little credit.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so now I have gotten very much in a place of where I will create my own narrative and my own story. So I don't mind. I had to get to a place where I was comfortable telling people what I've done and being proud of myself to say, this is what I've done, or I had a hand in this. Because oftentimes people would somehow, I'd have a big contribution to it, and I might be the one person who's left out of the credits and the praise. And so I got to a point.
Really?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All the time. All the time. Once a week. Easily. Because I'm like, if you think about it, just in how many businesses I'm working with. Absolutely. And like, you know, there was a recent situation. I don't know if you heard about Cajun Eats.
Okay.
But shout out to Cajun
yes.
Eats. I don't know if you saw my comment where I said that Black businesses could use PR support. But then afterwards, you know, I then saw their video where I felt like they didn't seem to take, you know, that as seriously. And I spoke on that. But the owners of Cajun Eats reached out to me. And I helped them with their PR statement that they then come out and said, you know.
Yeah.
And
people were really impressed by that.
Yeah, and we worked together on that. And yeah, like I didn't charge them for that or anything. It wasn't about that. And I didn't plan on, you know, mentioning this now. But I'm like, yeah, that to me, that for that, it wasn't about the credit. But that was a situation where I came out and I addressed something with the Black business that could have maybe been taken as a negative or disparaging. I'm not going to point out a problem and then not offer a solution when I know that I am capable of supporting the solution. Right. Like if I'm saying you need a PR, no, y'all don't have PR. Y'all reach out and say, hey, can you help on PR support? And I'm saying, no, what does that look like? Like that's how a lot of people I feel oftentimes move in the community. Right. So no, if I said y'all need PR support and I am a PR professional, I will support y'all and help y'all in this. Yeah. I don't have to come out and say, oh, I did this, I did, you know, that's not necessary. That, you know, but oftentimes that I see that all the time. In that case, no, I'm not their publicist. So I wouldn't expect them to come out and say, you know, thank me for that. But I'm like, that's just an example of I go helping businesses unlike, you know, behind the scenes oftentimes. Yeah, at no charge because it ain't about that, you know?
No.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, I think that people that do what you do, like behind the scenes, you get your blessing in other ways all the time. And as long as you're like aligned with your purpose, like that's why it's
that's
the work.
It's not about the credit. I think for me, the only time I take it personally is when it's with my creative IP in the sense of like my curatorial work. Like I take my art very seriously. Everything else I do for a check. My art is literally my outlet of me being able to talk about what I love about Black art and culture. And that is for me, you know? So yeah, it's been like when I did the Black Girls Don't Wear Red lipstick. I partnered with the curator because it's just at capacity. I didn't have all of the time to do it. So I brought on a curator to help me with that. And then, yeah, one company reached out and was like, we love what's going on with this. Can we do your closing reception? Sure. This guy I knew didn't like me, who was over this company. But yeah, you can do the closing reception because this isn't about me. This still gets more information out about the artist and her work. Yeah. This still could possibly sell the artist and her work that we have in this library. So absolutely, this isn't about me. But then when he did the closing reception, like I allowed him to do whatever he wanted to do. Then when it closed, he posted about it and he kept acknowledged everyone but me. And then when the photographer who had shot the photos and then the co-curator said, hey, Kiara brought me on, so I can't take credit for work that she brought me in on. And then even the photographer said, hey, can you credit Key on this? And yeah, he didn't. And then I addressed him because, of course he needed a favor later. And I said, yeah, I'm very serious about my creative work. He's like, oh, it's just a social post. I said, what do you mean? What do you mean it's a social post? This is my creative IP. Like, this is what I did. This is what I helped to produce and create. And you credited everybody else but me. If it wasn't that important, why did you credit everyone else? And why did you leave me off? Like, you wanted other people to have the credit for the work that I put in. And then when I address you about it, you say, oh, it's just social media. No, that's crediting an artist's work and the creative team's work. So yeah, with that, I don't like, yeah, like it is what it is. I'm always address that because
yeah, no, you deserve your credit. But you guys, thank you so much for being here. Let's mosey on over to what you have coming up next and where we can find you as well.
Well, you can find me on IG at Airless, HEIR_LESS. And then what else? Let's see. What I got coming up? Well, of course, we got Dreamcon. I also have on April 23rd, I have a public lecture at the Austin Downtown Library where I'll be talking about programming, community engagement, building out, and it's more focused on art for the fellowship. But I'm basically just bringing in my strategies of PR, art curation, programming, community engagement, and even like Dreamcon and how that's built out some of my curatorial practice. And so just teaching the fellows of like, how do you build more dynamic activations? How do you build out dynamic panels and workshops that aren't just boring panels and workshops put together? So that's what I'll be lecturing on April 23rd. And then in June, I have a really big show that I'm working on, like my biggest show to date. Okay. And it's not just mine. It's Muini Loco Rudd, another curator that I'll be working with on this and supporting her. So I'm really excited.
Is it Austin or Houston?
Yeah, okay. It's in Austin.
Okay. What about Keys to the Street?
Oh, Keys to the Streets, I even forget. Like, that is me and Reno. And so we drop a podcast every now and then, episode of just like some gems. We've been horrible. We need to get like you. But we literally posted before South by, and then we just took off. Like, I had things go off for South by. Like, Reno's done a whole TED Talk. And so we like literally since our last episode. And so now we're going to get back into just like dropping the gems and stuff from the music industry to PR to, working with businesses.
Absolutely. And I trust me. I don't know if it's a tequila. I don't know what's going on. You want to hear every gem that she has to drop, especially with Reno. I know that they have a lot of exposure to a lot of things in the city and outside of it. So definitely a good, educational, fun podcast to listen to. Key to the Street.
Thank you.
As far as I'm gonna make mine quick. As far as I go, Lord have mercy. I don't even understand how it happens, Lord. But just be ready. Next week, I will be dropping the episode with Classic Man D of Anime Paint Cocktail Hour. He's a well-known voice actor. Has done, Hood JJK, and just was here not too long ago for South by Southwest with Revolt. So please be on the lookout for that episode. I will be doing not one but 2 events in May. The Anime and Paint Tea Party. May 3rd will be in Houston, and May 24th will be in Austin. The early bird tickets are already sold out for Austin. So please make sure that you are getting your tickets for both cities. This is all ages, okay? We are going to hey, you're welcome to do cosplay. It's going to be a really cute, serving staff. We're going to be dressed as maids. When I say we, I mean me as well, Lord. I'm every woman. She's all in me. So we need more people to join the team. So, just come on out to these events, get connected, paint, and just get connected with the anime community. It's really, really important and really great. In June, I will be doing some more of the Anime and Paint Cocktail Hour. I will have some more guests, including the fifth Yonko, really great Black creative and cosplayer in this space doing big things. In July, I will be at Dreamcon, you guys. So just be on the lookout for more of what I got going on with Dreamcon. In August, Lord have mercy, I will be at Mangle and Marvel and Morsels. I will be doing my sip and paint. So please come out.
Speaking of that, I have been meeting with him, Amos, and I've been helping him. Let me tell you that. I appreciate your feedback on that.
Yeah, Amos is working his ass off, and he is making a lot.
He's doing good work.
Happen. I'm glad.
Yeah.
See, that's what it is. Y'all got to connect. It's better when there's two than one, okay? Yeah. But that man is doing his thing. Shout out to Amos. Shout out to Mango, Marvel, and Morsels. People that I know from around the country are going to that.
Oh, really?
Like, I went to BlurredCon in March. I know this is a bit of a... But, and people were asking me, because they knew I was from Austin, do you know about Mango, Marvel, Morsels? I said, oh my God, I love that. That man is working his ass off.
Yeah.
So shout out to him. So I'll be there in August with my paint set up, and there'll be a lot of great Black creatives and not Black creatives. Baby, Chris Sabat is going to be there. Vegeta, okay? His name is Trunks. He too was a true Super Saiyan. Anyway, let me stop. That's not how that man sounds.
I forgot you just got into Dragon Ball.
Yeah, I did. Finished it, baby. I'm watching Dragon Ball now. September. This is my pride and joy. I will be doing a nighttime sip and paint event. I will be doing a psychedelic anime and paint event. We're going to bring in some glow-in-the-dark paint. We're going to bring in the psychedelics, baby. When I say psychedelics, I don't mean drugs.
Oh,
they're going to be on me, baby. But they can be on you. I think
that is definitely giving Austin and keeping Austin weird. I love how you're doing that.
Yes.
Okay.
Now that I have partnership, like my girl Cass, shout out to her, Parlor 8. She has been helping with my events, with my aesthetics, and she's actually going to be catering and supplying everything for the tea party. I could just be more of I could just ideate now, and I can just come up with my own creative things.
Isn't it fun?
It's so good.
And then you can call other people and say, I don't even want this for me. You take it. Like, I love that.
Yes. I'm not there yet, but hopefully I will be there soon. But the psychedelic anime and paint, we're gonna experiment a little bit with how the psychedelic music merges with anime culture, and also have a good time painting. So there's a lot there. Like, I'm like, Jesus Christ, that is going into fall already.
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't even know you were gonna like. I already have more ideas that we'll talk about when we're done. Yeah.
This is the ladies episode, okay? Ooh, the ladies first.
Okay, it's so ladies' night.
You gonna be patient with us, damn it. I'm sorry. We have a lot of our mind. We have
Shout
a lot
out
going
to
on.
Andrew.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. Because Andrew turning red. He's like, girl, if y'all don't wrap the hell up. All right. Well, with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for being a part of another episode of Anime and Paint Cocktail Hour. Until next time, bye.
Hi.
And tell Megan Thee Stallion about me. I know I already talked to her, but tell her again. Thank you. Yay. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you so much. Yes, indeed.